Hi guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Millennial Mirrors, a discussion on millennial life in the Middle East. Our episode today is titled Abe. This is a word that we've dealt with all growing up and continue to deal with in our daily lives. Translated loosely, it means shame or inappropriate depending on the context that you use it. And it got me thinking about how in the Middle East, as we grow up, a lot of the time our parents replace the word wrong and bad with the word Abe. And it becomes this gray area that doesn't necessarily represent what is right or wrong.
Okay, Safe, let's go!
But what is unacceptable and acceptable by our society. I always did enjoy storytelling. I mean, I used to consume books at a rate that was just crazy. Like, they'd give us a book as homework and we'd have a week to read it, and I'd finish it in a day and go back for a next one kind of thing. So that's kind of where that kind of love for reading and storytelling and stuff came from. And so starting with Millennial Mirrors, it was just seeing the people in my life, making decisions without really thinking about the reasons behind them. And as Arabs, I could see that there was such a huge disconnect between millennialism and their own culture and heritage. I kind of wanted to have a conversation about that.
You can blame the culture for it and get depressed, or you can create your own culture.
You said, what are the main stereotypical roles for women? I think for me, it wasn't necessarily what a role is in terms of what we're supposed to do, but the idea of how we are.
The main thing about being a third culture kid with identity is the fact that you just don't fit in. You're the other.
When we hear the word sex education, we immediately think of a certain angle, but it really encompasses much more.
Just letting them understand the repercussions of, look, I get it, you're a kid, you're a teen, you're gonna do silly stuff.
Yeah.
Just don't record it.
I didn't know anyone on season 1 of Millennial Mirrors. They were all kind of recommendations from people, and they would show up on the day, and I'd say hello, and then within 5 to 10 minutes, we're sitting at a table and we're having a conversation. For me, podcasting was just an easier, kind of more intimate space to have a conversation, especially for my guests. And I'm joined with Majid Al-Qasimi.
Thank you very much.
He's a good friend who's listened to all the episodes and is here to discuss them all with me. So let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
Episode 1 is... Met Majid, his wife, who's a big podcast fanatic.
When he was talking about purpose and impact actually not being sort of strategic targets, that blew me away. And that's prompted my mind to think about where my impact is, how people should be defining impact, and with that, their happiness.
You know, we would talk about podcasting. And so when I decided I wanted to start a podcast company, I asked Majid if he would be willing to kind of come on.
Hi, welcome to Yalla. I'm Majid.
And I'm Mishari, and we're starting a podcast company.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts.
And I've made a podcast before, so I guess we're qualified?
What's the worst that could happen?
Don't even get me started.
Storytelling is important. It's how we've always communicated as human beings, and it's how we get ideas across. What I like about audio is it strips all the other elements, i.e. visual elements, and so your imagination has space to play. Being a drummer and being into producing music, it's a medium I can immediately connect with. I'm from the royal family of Sharjah, but I was raised with a mother who is German. Having grown up and not being able to speak Arabic, there's part of me I'm trying to solve for the next generation. And when we were starting to talk about what kind of content we would be doing, it became clear to us that there's a whole spread of young Arabs that just do not connect with what's in sort of the general media. For my kids, I want there to be something that excites them.
Representation is important. And most of fiction, especially like fantasy and thrillers, is so much set and created by Western media. We don't have a lot of media that's created for us, by us. And I want to do a change that in a way that's accessible to people.
So what are we talking about today?
Can we talk about the fact that I haven't slept in 3 months?
No.
Can we talk about the fact that I really need a vacation?
No.
Can we talk about the fact that I'm questioning my life decisions?
No.
Fine. Do you want to talk about our startup like we're supposed to?
Yeah, I think we should.
Fine. I would move this up.
Yeah.
and have that be actually episode 1, because I feel like
that's the big opener, right?
that's the big opener.
Yeah. When Mashari and I started, I wasn't on full time, and Mashari was very clear that he wanted to do the production side of things, but he didn't want to run the company.
We realized we needed a third leg for the stool to kind of feel a bit more stable, and to also bring in a lot of the commercial elements, because neither of us was very familiar with the media space. We literally put out a post on LinkedIn. Leila showed up and she was the perfect match. So we have another big milestone.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Which is hiring a CEO.
My first meeting with Majid and Mashari was in a coffee shop. And I'd been listening to the show and sort of had this feeling that they seemed like bright guys, but I wasn't sure how seriously they were taking it as a business. But after I sat down with them, I was really super impressed with how big their ambitions were. That inspired me, and I really wanted to just jump in. So, what did you accomplish this week, guys?
What did I accomplish this week?
There is definitely a level of geekiness that binds the three of us together. Before Finyal, in my career, it was mostly on the TV side, so this is sort of a big leap into the audio world. When I first started this, I really struggled with being the working mom with like a gazillion things going on, the weight of the company on my shoulders. As the CEO, a big part of my job is creating new partnerships, finding new clients, but also we're a small team, and it's not like we have a finance team or a legal team or a marketing team or a sales team, and so I also do all of that. We found that finding the right talent is a real challenge. Not because the skill set isn't necessarily there, but if they don't have that level of passion, it doesn't really work in a company like ours. We're really lucky to have an incredible pool of writers, actors, sound engineers, editors, producers, directors, who are the thread that connects all of our content together.
And then we'll start putting in the SFX based on like the eating and the drinking and all that kind of stuff.
Finyal definitely like to explore and lead by curiosity, and they demystified a lot of stereotypes and a lot of long-held beliefs about what people of this region are like, especially the younger generation.
When it was coming up to Ramadan, I really wanted to try doing a fiction show. And it started with 1001 Nights.
فما استتمت كلامها إلا وقد أحاط المارد بالدار وخطف العروسة.
لا! ماذا فعلت أيها المارد؟ ماذا فعلت بزوجتي؟
1001 Nights was something that was very kind of precious to me. When I was 5, we had to leave because of the Gulf War. When we were abroad, one of the VHS tapes we had was this Ramadan show with 1001 Nights. And I used to just kind of watch it on repeat. People listen to it over and over again. The fact that it resonated with so many people, I realized there's so much beautiful fiction that we have in this region that doesn't get told in a way that is interesting.
So there's the classics, but sort of modernized, whether it be 1001 Nights or Sindbad. We're doing things that most big companies might be afraid to do because, well, the consumer might not like it. But we're nimble enough and bold enough to take some chances.
I do enjoy the creative aspect of it. I think like you get to play a lot more in fiction than when you're doing an interview show. Feels a little more narration and a little less storytelling.
Let's do it again. One more time. Yalla, you have it. You ready?
Mainly introduced to Finyal Media through one of my friends, and I listened to it regularly. I loved how stories were being adapted to more of an audio perspective, and the content creators understand the youth and what they're exposed to, and they also understand the older generation from their own parents and their own families, which is super helpful because you can listen to it differently. It's not like listening to music. It's not like reading a book or watching a movie.
لازم الاقي الصندوق اللي فيه الشرايط الباقية اللي باين ان هو سجل خطته عليها.
I've been on podcasts in the past where you sit down in a studio and chat, but never recording on location with the actors as if it was real life.
Take one. أستاذ يونان حسب على كلامك.
I think they stand apart because of the approach that they take. And so if you have strong characters, strong stories, entertaining stories, what we're doing is we're shaping an identity and a connection with the Middle East.
What this kind of storytelling does is pushes a lot of people to realize that there is this platform here, that you can chase creativity as a career path.
Let's take everybody on a tour of the office. Of the office. Let's do it.
Sinbad at the moment.
We have Sheena. Say hi, Sheena.
Hi.
Omar is a producer and Bob is our intern. Over here, we have post-production happening on Japan. Jam. You know, I want to be able to be a place where we nurture talent and nurture creativity and just a powerhouse of storytelling.
I think we're all quite humble about what we've sort of achieved together, and everything that we do is to help young people reconnect with the Arab world. Finyal Studios, which is our talent hub for creators, which is another community of independent podcasters from across the region who have great ideas for a show but don't necessarily have the kind of resources or capabilities to make that happen. And that's really important to me because I'm half British and half Palestinian, and when I was in the UK, I always felt this sort of otherness with my half Palestinian side. If there had been something like Finyal Media or, you know, podcasts that were in Arabic that allowed me to connect to the Arab world, it would have been amazing. And I hope that what we're doing now is going to help young people who are going through that process.